The fact is, we contribute more to the nation than what we get back from Delhi. Let me also tell you, we're ranked number 3 in India on the ease of doing business. We're certainly the state with the best industrial policy in India. We are home to India's largest textile park, the Kakatiya Mega Textile Park, by the way, which inspired PM Mitra recently. हमने 2017 में चालू किया था काकतिया मेगा टेक्सटाइल पार्क, और भारत सरकार अभी उठ के आई नींद से और पीएम मित्रा उन्होंने लॉन्च किया, अच्छी बात है. We are vaccine hub of the world. We produce 1/3 of human vaccines. We produce 900 crore vaccines from Hyderabad. Prime Minister साहब बोलते रहते हैं बीच-बीच में कि India is the pharmacy of the world, but he forgets to mention the word Telangana and Hyderabad. उनको याद नहीं आता, but मैं याद दिलाना चाहता हूँ कि 40% pharmaceuticals भारत के हैदराबाद से आते हैं, और 33% of vaccines in the world also come from here. We are the second largest renewable energy producer in India. From a mere 50 megawatts, Ajay Mishra ji will know this well, in 2014, we now produce more than 5,000 megawatts of renewable energy. And if you look at us by land mass, we are the number 1 state in India with respect to renewable energy. We are also the state which is the only state in India which is going to have a medical college and a medical hospital, a government super specialty hospital, in each and every district in the country. And this, again, with zero support from Government of India. We also have a number of other things that I can tell you, but the last thing I'll tell you, अगर कहते हैं कि अगर किसी को बताना है आपको जाके बाहर कि तेलंगाना ने क्या किया, तो आप उनको बस ये बोल दें कि अगर बाकी का भारत भी, the other 27 states in India, if they performed as well as we did, we would have been a 5 trillion economy already and not languishing at 3.4 trillion, as is the case today. So all of this has happened despite COVID, despite the challenges of being a young state, despite many things that were working against us, including an inimical union government. But I'm proud that, our state has done well. But I'm not going to make a tall claim and say that, we've matched the US or Japan or any of these first world countries. We have a long way to go. But certainly, relatively speaking, we are the best performing state in India, no matter which parameter you look at. Education, health, any social development indices, any parameter that you take, we are the best performing state. And I'm a proud partner in the growth story of this state. And I hope and I pray that the lecture that is being organized today in memory of Sri Abhay Tripathi, and for all of those who have attended here, I hope this was informative. I hope this was a few things for you to pick up and probably spread the good word. Thank you. Jai Telangana.
Thank you, Minister. My father would definitely have appreciated your candidness. And I think we're taking away that good economics is good politics. I would like to invite Mr. Ravikant Reddy to moderate the next part of the program, which is an open house question-answer session. There are 4 members of the organizing team in the audience with mics. So if you have questions for the minister, do raise your hand. Mr. Reddy will recognize you and you can pose your questions to him.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Minister, for the wonderful lecture. Minister has just 30 minutes because he has an urgent meeting to attend. So we'll take questions from the audience as well as people who are watching us online. Before that, I would like to start with an anecdote. In 2006, I was covering a program at Arts College as a reporter. It was a Telangana agitation, a program related to Telangana agitation. And there were lots of guys sitting on the stage. I was just one among the audience. And when I turned back, there were a lot of people hanging around one handsome young man sitting in the audience. And when I asked who was that, something, then they said he's son of Mr. K. Chandrasekhar Rao. And nobody knew him at that time. So I just went and introduced myself. I said, sir, I'm Ravikant Reddy from the Hindu. I just gave my card. In fact, I wrote a small piece also in the Hindu at that time. That how Mr. KCR's son has entered into Telangana politics. But he could have sat on the stage itself on that day, being the son of Mr. Chandrasekhar Rao, who was leading the agitation. So that was, being a young man Though he has just revealed his age as 47, he was 30 at that time. He's still young and is the leading light of the youngest state in the country. Thank you very much, sir. And we'd like to take questions from the audience first. The minister actually, I always see him in bluish and grayish colors because maybe he likes that color. So we'll take a question from any lady who is wearing that color. To start with. Anyone? Yeah.
Ready, sir. Yes, sir.
Any lady? Yeah, I think, yeah, she's, please.
Thank you so much for that. After this state economics lecture, I'm going to get a home economics lecture because you said, Ghar dekho and shadi karke dekho. My mother made eye contact with me. So thank you for that.
The trick when you speak in front of your parents is always never look their way. Always look the other side.
I couldn't avoid. But a very intriguing question that you've actually raised in your speech was vis-a-vis center-state relations. And I'm very curious to sort of understand the center-state relationship vis-a-vis finances and public finances, because here's the thing. State development also is a high revenue contributor to the sort of state exchequer of India, and not necessarily GDP, and that obviously looks at India's development. And I'm very curious to understand if there is sort of state policy that you would sort of take on to develop center-state relationships, or you think that it is something that the center should take on and involve as a part of their political agenda.
Well, thank you. Great question. If I understood it correctly, is it audible? Yeah. If I understood it correctly, I think, when Prime Minister Modi, before 2014, as we all know, he was a successful chief minister of 3 consecutive terms from Gujarat. A lot of times in digital world, what happens is your past really catches up with you. So what happens is when Prime Minister Modi, when he talks about something vis-a-vis a state or an institution, typically my team and a lot of other teams also dig up what he had said when he was the chief minister. So for instance, today you see the governors interfering in a big way, especially in non-BJP states. The governors literally have become an impediment to growth. That's what they've become, the hurdles. You send a bill from a democratically elected assembly in the state, governor gets to sit on it forever without any valid reason or no rhyme, no reason. Prime Minister Modi, when he was the chief minister, said, Sarkariya Commission ke sifaris amal karo, or active politician ko kabhi politics mein mat ghasito. But what happens in Telangana? The BJP president of Tamil Nadu, till today, becomes the governor of Telangana next day. What happens as a result? Politics will also spread to Raj Bhavan. Raj Bhavan will start working as an extension. And when this happens, the acrimony that typically tends to come in is but unavoidable. Having said that, there are occasions, when we have to raise above petty political considerations and basically stand up, with the union government and, give them the much needed support, etc. For example, what happened yesterday in Manipur was horrible, horrific, and anybody who has a heart or, who really feels as a human was put to shame, and we had to hang our heads in shame. These are occasions when you would want to shed any ambivalence and stand with government of India. Say, also there are sometimes, there are tensions on the border. You would want to stand with them and say, okay, we as Indians, India comes first. Of course we ought to do that. There are earthquakes, natural disasters. So we all have to raise above petty political considerations and work with them. But same spirit also has to be exhibited by government of India. See, the fundamental thing we all need to understand is, Bharat hai kya? 28 राज अगर है तो कुल मिला के भारत है. ऐसा नहीं है कि मोदी साहब के लिए कोई और राज है. He is administering the same country that we are all living in. So the same state that is being administered by Sri KTR as the chief minister, Modi ji is also the prime minister of that. So the fact is, the stronger the states are, the stronger the country is. The more you empower them, the more you decentralize, the more better it is. But also it is a fact that, each person, जब मैं ये सब कुछ बोल रहा हूँ, decentralize करो, ये करो, वो करो, अगर मुझे ले जाके वहाँ बिठाओ, तो मैं भी शायद बदल जाऊँगा, मैं भी बोलूँगा पूरा centralize करो. शायद it's a role problem and not the person problem. But if India has to grow, if India really has to move up and, achieve that first world ambition that has been laid out so explicitly by every prime minister, I think we have no choice but to confine our elections to a certain window, 1 साल पॉलिटिक्स करो, 4 साल इकोनॉमिक्स पे ध्यान दो, तब जाके कुछ काम होगा, वरना नहीं होगा.
Okay, the next question.
Thank you, Ravikant Reddy sir. This is Dr. Ramesh Kanniganti. Sir, what a young, dynamic, and then very impactful minister you have been. I have been observing it, sir, for the last decade. The state of Telangana people are so lucky to have you as a brand ambassador.
Let the question be
Yes,
brief
I'm coming.
and, yeah,
Sir, I have to tell you this adjective because I have been waiting for this to tell you, sir. Maybe I chose this occasion.
Sir, నేను మీకు అసెంబ్లీ టికెట్ ఇవ్వలేను సార్.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. I'm an academic, sir. I'm an academic. So, I run a think tank on Center for Human Security Studies. Ravikant Reddy, sir, you know it. Telangana, I have been watching for the last few years. Freedom from want, freedom from fear, freedom to live with dignity are the cornerstones of human security, which is exactly evident in the state of Telangana. This I have been observing, sir, without being any exaggerative in my observation.
Thank you, Ramesh Garu. Thank you so much. Very kind of you to say that. Like I said, we have been a very inclusive government. One of the things, I have to share this anecdotal experience of mine with you. As soon as the state was formed, like I said, there were a lot of apprehensions. So I was invited to an event at the film industry, Producers Council. So when I was going there, I asked the Chief Minister, I said, sir, what should I be saying to allay any fears, allay any apprehensions that they might have? What should I say? He simply said one thing. He said, ask these guys to stop thinking about being a Telugu film industry. Ask them, whether they have it in them to become a South Asian, hub for South Asia, to make Hyderabad a hub for South Asia. Yes. So that was his perspective all along. So he always told me, and told all of us, all of my colleagues as well, he said, once the state becomes a reality, then people are going to ask you for development. People are going to ask you to fulfill all the promises you've made on water, on funds, on employment, on everything else that you've put out in your manifesto. So he said, focus on that. Don't focus on anything that divides us, but focus on everything that unites us. And that's exactly what we have done, and thank you for your kind words.
Sir, the food, the
Yeah,
health,
okay,
the
Ramesh, I
water-
think there were a lot of people waiting.
Okay, okay.
So before the mic goes to that lady, there's a question online. Someone can, please, yeah. The question coming from Delhi, sir, from Business Line, Mr. Srivats. His question is, as a young state, how do you plan to ensure that you get a fair share of central tax devolution in the years to come to supplement states' own resources for development? Is there a case to redefine the tax devolution formula and relook at the criteria underlying it?
See, tax devolution is a constitutional right. I don't think the center is doing us any favors by actually bestowing on us, what we are owed as per constitution. So what we get today is nothing but, a constitutional right of ours. Besides this, because Richa mentioned cess, I have to tell you this. She said cess. Let me help you understand this one, teeny weeny bit which might have missed your observation. Back in 2014, when Prime Minister Modi took office in Delhi, the price of crude oil per barrel, let me remind you, was about $100. But the price of petrol was about 70 rupees. The price of diesel was, I think, about 65 or 60. I don't remember exactly. But the price of crude oil was around $100. But now, 8 years later, the price of crude oil, of course, it keeps wavering every day. But now, on an average, if you look at the last 3 months, it's around $60. What happened to the fuel prices? They're around 115 in Telangana, 112 in Karnataka, 100 somewhere else, 100 and odd something in some other place. What happened? What happened is, Government of India came out with this 2 additional cess, additional excise duty, and a cess that has been imposed on us. And let me tell you, we do not get anything out of this cess. The states are denied their rightful share. Because of these cesses, these additional excise duties, we do not get anything that we are supposed to get. Had it been another form of tax, we would have had that 41% devolution that you just mentioned. But they're denying us, depriving us this, and they've garnered more than 35 lakh crores now in the last 6 years to the union kitty. And they've not really, opened their purse strings to any of the states. So this is a fact. These are the things that they've resorted to. While they said, 10% हमने बढ़ा दिया devolution. But क्या किया? अलग-अलग तरीका ढूंढ निकाला, जिसमें से पैसा कैसे काटना है, राज को कैसे सताना है, उसका एक तरकीब निकाला. आज जब हम लोग बोलते हैं मोदी जी को कि सर, जब 100 रुपया बैरल था, एक क्रूड ऑयल बैरल था, 70 रुपए का पेट्रोल था पूरा देश में, आज 115, 110 है, तो क्यों ना आप पूरे देश में सेस स्क्रैप करो, एक्साइज ड्यूटी स्क्रैप करो, क्यों ना फिर 70 रुपए में देंगे। मुझे इतना ट्रोलिंग होता है इस बात पे, लोग बोलते हैं कि पहले तुम अपने राज में तो करो। मतलब क्या हुआ? आप स्क्वीज करोगे आप और कम करें हम, ये कहां की रीत है? So you'll continue to pinch the people of this country, and you want the states to get penalized for it. You want the states to actually dry off their coffers and again bleed. And you know what happens is effectively when the state starts bleeding, Modi ji will come here and give a lecture, भाषण की देखिए इनको चलाने नहीं आता, पूरा राज को बर्बाद कर दिया. So this is their agenda. They squeeze you, they strangle you, and then they come and tell you that these guys are not performing. So point is, 100% the constitutional right which is owed to every state, अगर उसको तो देना ही देना है, उसमें कोई चारा नहीं है उनके पास. साथ ही साथ अगर भारत को आगे बढ़ना है, we need to start looking at radically leveraging our economy. Today in Hyderabad Metro, we have Canadian pensioners' money here. Canada Pension Fund invests in Hyderabad Metro. Where is Indian pensioners' money? कोई बैंक में, कोई एफडी में बैठा है, 30 लाख करोड़ बैठा है वहां पे. भारत जैसे देश को अगर आगे बढ़ना है, do we not need this money to invest in infrastructure? You know, there's a great saying of President John F. Kennedy that I would like all of you to dwell on for a bit. I read this for the first time when I landed in the US. John F. Kennedy very, very famously said, America does not have good infrastructure, does not have good infrastructure because it is rich. America is rich because it has good infrastructure. So it is incumbent upon us to understand that investments into infrastructure, power, roads, ports, airports, seaports, all of these are essential if you have to move up to the second world and the first world league. And unless government of India really works with us. See, for instance, if we have to, have inland waterways happen all the way to Bhadrachalam, Richa said we are landlocked. There is only so much you can do. She said, no, we can do more. We can bring a vessel all the way up to Bhadrachalam, to the border of Telangana, provided union government facilitates and works with Andhra and Telangana governments and invest together. We can actually reduce the transportation cost. We can create more industries. But can this happen with Prime Minister Modi? He'll want to take everything to Gujarat or Uttar Pradesh because that's where all the assembly or parliament seats which are voting for him are. Unfortunately, that's how it's been.
I will take a question from that lady. Let the question be brief, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Very brief. Brand KTR Garu and brand Telangana are synonymous.
Thank you, ma'am.
Whether it is 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 45 minutes, it's always a privilege to listen to you.
Kind of.
Having said that, I work in public health, and I have seen how a flood was monitored, including switching off the electricity. The poles were monitored, and the last mine was taken care of by the state so that nobody got electrocuted. The question from you is, or you didn't touch on the communications that you did present throughout Telangana. You didn't touch on what you have done for youth and skilling in Telangana. Would you want to share that?
Absolutely, ma'am. Great question. But because Richa gave me only 40 minutes, I figured I'll squeeze in as much as I can. We also created an institution called as TASK in Telangana, called as Telangana Academy for Skills and Knowledge, through which, in fact, on the 8th of July, we celebrated the World Skills Day as well. Unfortunately, I missed the event. But this institution has been working superbly because we've trained so far more than 800,000 kids. And we work with number of colleges, we work with number of training partners. Because, a lot of our youngsters, no matter where they come from, which part of Telangana or India they come from, or even Andhra they come from, they do have the information, they do have the knowledge, the wealth of information that is required. But when it comes to presenting it, the soft skills, the communication skills, that's where they typically lack. So we've sort of set this up as a finishing school, and it has been doing really well. But of course, there's plenty more to do. In fact, one of the things I firmly believe is, in life, especially as it gets more and more competitive, the only way you can stay up to date and relevant is by skilling, reskilling, and upskilling. And that applies to all of us, bureaucrats, politicians, students, employers, employees. I think all of us, unless we upgrade ourselves, unless we upskill ourselves, there's no choice. So we are constantly looking to partner and create more centers of excellence. We're in the process of setting up a life sciences university. We're also in the process of setting up an aviation university, nascent stages, but we'll also do that. We're also in the process of setting up a university focused on sustainable mobility. So all of this, education plus skill building and capacity building is something that we have tried to do as much as we can, but there's plenty more to do, I assure you, and we'll stay focused on that. Thank you, ma'am.
We'll take a question from Pooja, who has come all the way from Delhi. Can someone pass on the mic to Pooja.
Have I hurt your Delhi sensibilities?
Not at
I
all.
hope I have.
Not at all. Congratulations, Minister, on being a very high-performing state. I have to confess, I didn't know as much about your state, so your lecture has been very informative for me. My question is that you very rightly have a lot of, let's say, complaints against Delhi and the treatment given by Delhi and basically the central government to even high-performing states such as yours. From what I understand, you said that it is probably the nature of center-state relations that leads to something like this. It isn't the personality, because you said that if you were in this position, perhaps you would also be sitting from there.
I think the position changes. One is what I was going.
Right. So my question is that given you're such a high-performing state, given additional resources which are your due, which you should get, can help you perform even better and do more for your people. Is there, and perhaps there are more states who have similar concerns, do you see scope for or need for some sort of an institutional platform for the states to get together and take up issues with the center? Because just waiting for an electoral cycle to be completed and change faces, or perhaps hope for a coalition where regional parties or smaller states have more voice and bargaining power, an institutional mechanism may work. Now, traditionally, we have had certain institutional mechanisms and people have had issues with them, rightly so. They have not lived up to the expectations. There's always scope for improvement, etc. But given what you have described, without even the central government support, you've done a lot. You can perhaps do a lot more. What is the solution to this other than just waiting for an electoral cycle to perhaps create scope for a coalition government where you get a more political voice?
Well, there's a word word in Constitution called as tyranny of majority. Sometimes what happens is when you have a brute power, you have bulldozing numbers in Parliament or GST Council, you just get bulldozed. And bulldozer राज का तो आपको जानते हो, दिल्ली में आपको तो आपके एकदम बगल में चल रहा है. तो बुलडोजिंग मेजॉरिटी जो आज हिंदुस्तान में है, कभी का एक बार शायद वो अच्छा नहीं है, क्योंकि हम लोग पहले से ये मानते थे कि coalition governments probably are not stable, so therefore they are not right. So, one party getting full majority may be a good thing, but looking at what's happening 9 years in India, even before that, if I may add, not just 9 years, but even before that, I'd like to say that one party which has always had complete majority has not been able to deliver justice for everybody, so to speak. I'll give you 2 examples. Hyderabad is one city which has got a number of defense public sector undertakings, including President Abdul Kalam. He worked here for 12 years as part of the Missile Development Program. And there's a number of institutions. Even current advisor to government for Minister of Defense is Dr. Satish Reddy. He's also from Hyderabad. So when this concept of defense industrial production corridor was being mooted, the defense minister then was Nirmala ji. So I approached the union government with a lot of hope, saying, ma'am, Hyderabad and Bangalore. Bangalore is where HAL is, a number of other institutions are, and Hyderabad has a number of such institutions. So to give much needed boost to the existing ecosystem, this would be an ideal location. She said no. I said no, मतलब कुछ बात करेंगे आप या चर्चा करेंगे, ऐसा कुछ होगा, कोई बैठक बुलाएंगे, कुछ होगा? She said no, the decision is already made. I said on what grounds? She said we have made the decision, the union cabinet has decided. I said, where is it decided? She said, Bundelkhand. I said, what the hell is there in Bundelkhand that you want to go and set it up there? She said, what do you mean? I said, yeah, what is there? Is there like a factory? Is there a defense public sector undertaking? What is there that you would want to attract the world to Bundelkhand and set it up, other than the fact that they have a number of parliament seats which are voted for BJP? What is there? She said, no, these are not political considerations. You have to understand, you have to look at the bigger picture. So Hyderabad is developed, so you don't want other parts to develop. Is that what it is? I said, no, but you have to understand that if you have to catch the early worm, you have to move fast, and therefore existing ecosystem matters. She wouldn't get it. Same has been the mode with every single minister that I've dealt with in Government of India. They think that they know it all. With this they know it all mindset, I know it all mindset, things are not going to work. अगर आप किसी और की सुनना नहीं चाहते हो, किसी और के साथ बैठ के बात नहीं करना चाहते हो, कुछ नहीं होना है आगे जाके. पीयूष गोयल आए थे एक बार यहाँ पे. हमने indoor meeting बुलाई, All India Medical Devices Manufacturers Association. As part of this meeting, Piyush gave a very nice lecture on how nationalism should take center stage and how सभी manufacturers को यहाँ पे हर कुछ करना चाहिए, हम लोग 80% बाहर से import करते हैं. It was indoor meeting, no press, so none of them could report anything. So one of the manufacturers got up. They said, "Sir, मैं एक बात आपसे कहते हैं." मैंने कहा क्या? बोले कि मैं आज अगर चाइना में ग्लव खरीदता हूँ, मास्क खरीदता हूँ और इंपोर्ट करता हूँ हजारों मैल, तब भी वो सस्ता पड़ता है यहाँ बनाने से. मैं क्या करूँ बताओ आप? आपने कहा अच्छी बात है, भारत के हो, भारत के लिए बनाओ, ठीक है, बट अगर वहां से लाता हूँ तो सस्ता पड़ता है. आपके इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी, रॉ मटेरियल लाने में इतना मतलब जो अड़चने हैं, इसको हटाओ, इसको इस पे ध्यान दो. ही वुडंट लिसन, ही वुड से नहीं नहीं नहीं, क्या कह रहे हो आप, सोचो भारत की तरह सोचो. ठीक है यार, हम सभी इंडियन हैं, कौन कह रहा है कि हम कोई और देश से हैं, हम सभी चाहते हैं कि भारत तरक्की करे. द पॉइंट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक इज, I know it all mindset does not work. See, we've had institutions like Planning Commission and Niti Aayog precisely for this. But we haven't sat with Niti Aayog in the last 4 years. We said, we refused any meeting with Niti Aayog. Our Chief Minister said, there's no point in meeting these fellows. They were very insulted, they felt humiliated. But we said, what is the point of talking to you when none of your recommendations are honored by Government of India, they're thrown in a dustbin. So what is the point of talking to you? No, so the answer, I'm eventually coming to it. The answer is, if you ask me straight, I think some sort of a government where you would have, ideally speaking, this is a utopian world, maybe not cut out for India in 2024, but I'm trying to paint a utopian picture. Maybe having experts from various fields come in, who will raise above petty political consideration and look at, do a SWOT analysis of India and say, तेलंगाना क्या कर सकता है, आंध्रा क्या कर सकता है, महाराष्ट्र का स्ट्रेंथ क्या है, गोवा का स्ट्रेंथ क्या है, इस पे प्ले करो और जो स्किल जिसका है उसके लिए उसको एक कंसिडरेशन और उसके लिए कोई पार्क बना रहे हो तो वहां दे दो, जहां स्ट्रेंथ है वहां ताकत लगाओ, रिसोर्स लगाओ, क्योंकि कम रिसोर्स है. तो अनलेस ऐसा एक माहौल बने where SWOT analysis done for the entire country and we play to our strengths and we also offset our weaknesses by way of leveraging our existing resources. But I don't think that is going to happen anytime soon. So whatever I just said will remain on paper for a very long time.
If I may just follow up,
Yes,
my point was, I'm fully sensitive to each and everything that you have said. My point only was that, what should be the mechanism to carry out exactly this conversation that you're saying, because the current mechanisms are not working. The current institutions, as you said, the Niti Aayog, the GST Council, floor of House and Parliament, all of that is not working. Cabinet is not working. So one solution seems to be for there to be a coalition government in the center. But it may again become it may get hijacked by exactly the same kind of interests that currently work. Coalition is no guarantee against majoritarianism. So is there scope for the southern states or any states to come together and for them to create an institution? Because Niti Aayog, etc., all center created institutions.
अगर southern states साथ आएंगे ना, कल से हमें label दिया जाएगा कि हम लोग देश से अलग होना चाहते हैं.
So let me put it differently. So let me put it differently.
Let me tell you one thing. I know, I understand what you're saying. There is a huge, and I'm presuming you're a journalist, Pooja, so, and all the journalists here are going to hate me for saying this. The media in this country has lost its spine. There is no way the media in this country is able to question the Prime Minister or his government, unfortunately. और दूसरी बात, there is a heavy information vacuum in this country. मुझे कभी का एक बार एक समाचार लेने के लिए, एक न्यूज़ लेने के लिए 4-5 न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना पड़ता है कि है कहाँ न्यूज़ यार. एक पेपर पढ़ोगे तो बोलेगा वो कि कुछ और हो रहा है, दूसरा बोलेगा न्यूज़पेपर कम हो गया, व्यूज़ पेपर ज़्यादा हो गया, दूसरी बात. तो इसीलिए the only instrument that I depend on today is social media, because that has become sort of more democratic. So I think crowdsourcing of ideas is not such a bad idea. If I was given an opportunity, I would certainly do that. In fact, in my current role as well, even this morning, one commuter from Hyderabad texted saying, or tweeted saying, "Boss, ऐसा करो कि तुम लोग citizen awareness groups बनाओ, citizen volunteers को add करो." I take up suggestions. I try and do that as much as I can in the limited time that I have. But I hope and pray that government, whoever is in government in 24, will also have the wisdom. It will dawn on them. I hope it dawns on them to also be democratic, to also be crowdsourcing ideas from no matter where they come from, which corner of India, and pick up on best practices. शर्माने की क्या बात है, अगर तेलंगाना कुछ अच्छा कर रहा है तो पिकअप करो, और कोई और कुछ अच्छा कर रहा है तो हमें बताओ कि गोवा ने अच्छा कुछ किया, तेलंगाना आप भी करो. ये बड़े ब्रदर, बिग ब्रदर वाला काम जिसको करना चाहिए ना, वो नहीं कर रहा है, वो बिजी है बाहर घूमने में. तो इसीलिए उनको कभी का एक बार इंडिया भी वापस आना चाहिए, काम करना चाहिए, और ground level काम करना चाहिए.
Sir.
Okay, we
can I ask?
we have just time for one question.
Okay,
So
sir.
maybe this young man can take this.
Sir, I am Arvind. We are the MES batch going the foundation course here. I am from Bhimavaram. I have seen many of my people migrating from there to Hyderabad for businesses. Though we are the #1 state in ease of doing business, had from 3 years back. So can you tell it in your words that what made the Hyderabad so welcoming to them? So it's
I'll tell you one thing though. See, Andhra has its own strengths. Telangana has its own strengths. Richa alluded to sibling rivalry. We have no rivalry with Andhra. In fact, I wish the very best for Andhra because they are my sister state. Without a question, I hope and pray they do as well as we do. In fact, in some counts, they actually do better than us as well. See, Andhra has its own strengths. When I say its own strengths, they have a huge coastline. They have number of maritime ports. They have a large number of towns which in fact, in Telangana we don't have. We have a Hyderabad, but you have number of other towns. For example, you have Rajahmundry, you have Tirupati, you have Kurnool, you have Kadapa, you have Vijayawada, and I can go on. There's Vizag, of course. So all of these tier 2 cities that you have are a huge asset to you. I'm very confident that in the current government and the previous government and whoever is running the government in Andhra, they've done their best, and I'm sure they'll continue to do their best. And Hyderabad, like I said, is not just for people of Telangana. Hyderabad will continue to remain an India city. In fact, our ambition, our Chief Minister's ambition, is to make Hyderabad a global metropolis. So if I have to make it a global metropolis, I can't say I'll shut my doors to people from Bhimavaram or Rajahmundry or Kodad. You have to have everybody come here in search of opportunities. But as long as you're able to provide the same opportunities elsewhere in a decentralized fashion, it works well for all of us, is what I would like to believe.
I would like to add one more
Thank
line,
you.
sir.
Yeah, I think
Just one more line.
so time is running out and the minister has to go.
I
But
kind
before that,
of envy
gentlemen,
that
please.
you got enlisted to the Telangana during the asset allocations.
Sorry?
I kind of envy that you got enlisted into Telangana during the asset allocation.
I was born here, so I wasn't enlisted.
Still, you are welcome here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And before, sir, I would like to take some objection to the minister's statement on media.
Media gurincha?
Yeah, and
ఏమన్నా
so I
నేనేమన్నాను?
request him to read the Hindu.
కాక ఒక్క నిమిషం. ఏమన్నాను నేను? తప్ప ఏమన్నాను? మీరు వాస్తవాల్ని వాస్తవాలుగా రాయట్లేదు, వార్తల్ని వార్తలుగా రాయట్లేదు. యూ షుడ్ ఆల్సో సీ, మేము ఇన్ని మాటలు పడతాం రోజు, మీరు ఒక్క మాటకే ఉలికి పడితే ఎట్లా? అప్పుడప్పుడు మీరు కూడా తట్టుకోవాలా, మాతో నిలబడాలి.
Okay, one last thing, and as I conclude this session, and just a minute.
If you could all settle down, please. We just have a quick token of our appreciation we would like to present to the minister. I would like to invite Mr. Benhur Eka also on stage. I would also now like to present, sorry, there's one and a small token of appreciation from the Tripathi family for the minister.
So this is done by Mr. Ravikant, cartoonist from the business line. So this is basically about Bonalu, and he says that we have completed 10 years, and for the next 10 years, wishing you good luck. Ravikant, come.
Please, just for another 2 minutes. Distinguished dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, members of the service, both serving and retired, ladies and gentlemen, and dear friends. It's my privilege and great honor to propose a word of thanks on this occasion on behalf of the Government of Telangana and MCR HRD, Institute of Telangana. We express our deep sense of gratitude to Honorable Sri KT Rao, Minister for IT and Industries and MA and UD of Government of Telangana, who was kind enough to grace the occasion with his presence despite his busy schedule and a very inclement weather. And also for delivering an exceptionally enlightening, motivating and heartening address. Respected sir, your presence today is a great source of motivation to all of us, and we are all inspired by your great words. We also thank our Chief Secretary. Unfortunately, she is not here today because of unforeseen circumstances, Srimati A. Shanti Kumari Garu. And we sincerely thank from the bottom of our hearts the family members of Tripathi sir for this lecture which brought all of us here for a memorable event and also for gracing this occasion with their presence. It's a great pleasure having all of you here. We thank our DG, Dr. Shashank Goyal, for adding dignity and grace to this function with his presence and for delivering a very warm, welcoming address. Also allow me to acknowledge the presence of the distinguished guests, faculty and staff of this institute for being with us on this great occasion. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to Facilities Section for their support in the organizing of this event. Thank you, one and all.